Hello, YouTube. This is Robin with Hot Mess Hobbies. I am back with a quilting WIP parade. How shocked are you? I said for months I was going to do this and I just never got around to it. Much like my cross stitch, my quilting time is very limited. With 2 kids and a full-time job, I would not give up my time with my children for anything, including more quilt time. So that is in great part a personal choice, and I am blessed to have my 2 boys, so I do not regret that. But I thought, you know what, it is time to get a little bit of an update, and I'm also hoping that this will motivate me instead of playing on my phone or buying more stash that I don't need or just wasting time at night to maybe get a little bit more progress on these. However, the first one I'm going to show you, or try to, I'm in a spot I haven't filmed before. If you've watched my other videos, they're all cross stitch or knitting. But I'm using my iPad because I have a cross stitch WIP parade uploading on my phone. I don't know what the resolution will be like. I put it on the highest setting. Hopefully it's good, but it does seem to shake every now and then in the mount on the table. I think just because it's bigger. So I will try very hard not to bump the table. If it does wiggle a bit, I apologize. I'm also not nearly as organized with my quilting as I am with my cross stitch. To say I'm organized with my cross stitch is probably pushing it too, so take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, I wanted to jump in and I'm going to show you what I got, whatever it is. This is a no editing. If the dog barks, if there's crinkles, I apologize, but if I'm going to make this happen, I got to just get her done. So hopefully I don't have to get up at all. If I do, I'll try to make it minimal to grab things, but we are going to just jump in. So the first is, this still freaks me out and makes me so excited, the very first quilt top I've ever finished. And it has been quilted at a quilt shop. I did not do the quilting, and I just have to bind it. But I'm a smidge bit terrified because I've not done binding before. I've now watched about, I don't know, 5,000 videos. Obviously not really 5,000, but I've been watching videos, trying to find all the best techniques. I'm gonna go really slow, but this is, and I apologize because I'm not gonna be able to fit it all in the video. I couldn't figure out a way to do it. If I can, I will enter a photo or put it as the cover photo. But this is my finished quilt, and the pattern is symmetrical, or mirror image, whatever it is when all 4 are the same. I don't know if that's mirror image or maybe both. But I am using so the pattern, first of all, is called Charm Squared. I have not 1, but 2 copies of the pattern. Could I find either one to tell you who it's by? Absolutely not. Be still my heart, I would be shocked. So what I'll do is, it might even be a day or 2 after I post this, but I will add to the description who this quilt pattern is by. That this is Charm Squared, and I love it. And again, I don't have a great place to put it where you can see the whole thing, but I will try to put a screenshot of the whole thing in as my cover picture. I had it backed in this gorgeous green, I don't know if I'd call this a grunge or not. I think technically it's a grunge. Where's the camera on this thing? So pretty. I am going to stand a little bit just to show you some of these gorgeous, look at how pretty these are. This is the Tulip Tango collection. I used 2 full charm packs. Like, you do not have an extra square anywhere. But I had it back with this. And I cannot find the tag for this. This is going to be a recurring theme, but I'm going to try to be better moving forward. But I had this quilted at Quilt Patch Fabric. They did a gorgeous job, and they did this beautiful floral pattern. And then on the front, I also don't know my background fabric, but I have this beautiful, it's showing up more creamy. It's actually a light mottled pink. That's a little better. And I am going to do my binding in this green, which I think will give it a really nice fun pop. Did I tell you who Tulip Tango is by? I found it somewhere. promptly lost it. Oh, is this it? Nope, that's not it. Oh, it's right here. It was folded in the quilt. Hold on just a moment. All right, Tulip Tango Charm Pack by Robin Pickens for Moda. Gorgeous, gorgeous collection. I wish I'd bought more, but then I have so many other ones I want to quilt with that, you know, I'd never get to it again anyway. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you is my second almost finished one. This is one I made for my oldest son, and I saw, pardon my bending and reaching, I'm trying not to put things on the table so I don't shake the iPad, but I saw this adorable fabric somewhere. I bought a little bit, then I bought a little bit more, and I was like, wow, I have a lot of this. But I was with some dear friends. We have sort of our own little quilt retreat where we wear pajamas and just eat delicious food and can sew for hours and quilt for hours without talking, but just have this deep sense of companionship. And we went to the Ponderosa Quilt Retreat in North Carolina, which just so happens to be like an hour from way too many gorgeous quilting shops, stitching shops, and knitting stores. Don't even get me started with all the antique places that were there. Thank God my car was packed to the brim, or I would have had some serious explaining to do when I got home. Anyway, so I just decided to make up a quilt pattern. Like, it's not fancy, don't get me wrong, don't be like too impressed. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do this because I had this with me, not sure why. And they have at the Ponderosa Quilt Retreat, because she was a Moda rep, and she basically took this house and built this amazing retreat where there's a full kitchen. It sleeps like 13 people. She's got the tables and the irons and every kind of cutter and ruler and everything you can imagine. It's just magical. But she had these super cute AccuCutter dinosaur silhouettes. So I was like, okay, I gotta get on this. I'm trying to just figure out which side is the top. Again, this is one I will I can figure out how I will insert a picture of it all put together. But this is the cutest fabric. Hopefully I wrote down what it's called. But look at these little dinosaurs. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And then I had some partials, but I didn't want to waste fabric. So I have kind of dinosaurs random throughout. There's a Brontosaurus, Brontosaurus. There's that guy. There's T-Rex. And there's not the Stegosaurus, but the one that looks like a Stegosaurus but doesn't have the 3 horns. This guy. The friendly dino that doesn't eat people. So I put them throughout the quilt, but I just basically did alternating blocks of 3 and 3. I did make sure that, so you have orange, green, orange, and then you have green, orange, green. So I did that, and then I put this adorable cream palm tree situation that is part of the same collection on there. So I have this, the dino silhouettes are on Steam-A-Seam Light 2, so they are adhered on there and ironed on. The thing I want to do is I'm trying to applique them on. I've not done any applique, to be honest. So I started doing it by hand because they have little tiny cutouts and corners and curves. I didn't want to have it look like a mess. But then I realized my son's going to be graduating from college before I finish hand appliquing this, because I may be a cross stitcher, but I am slow as a tortoise when it comes to hand stitching. So I have a single extra dino silhouette that I put in just a piece of scrap. I found the perfect color of thread, and this afternoon, if I feel squirrely, or tonight, I'm going to try and see if I can do like not a buttonhole stitch, what's it called? Blanket stitch, excuse me. I found a way to do, I tested a bunch of different stitches, but I think the blanket stitch, I can do a very fine, small one. and hopefully I can do it just slowly and have that work, because I'd really like to get this quilted and bound for him. So there's no pattern or designer because this was just me winging it up on the design board. So sorry about that. I will again try to put more details below. A lot of these I don't have access to the name of the fabric line or the designer or things. So again, I'm not particularly organized with my quilting. Maybe this will help inspire me to do that. I did also have enough fabric that I made 2 pillowcases. These are 18-inch pillowcases. So I have 2 of these with 2 dinos on each. So applique those up too, and I'll have those quilted. I thought about trying to machine quilt the pillowcases myself, but my son went with me to pick out he really wanted to help pick out the stitching for the floral quilt I showed you, the charm squared one, and I just thought that was wonderful. So we had a great time, but they had a dinosaur stitch that he really wants. So I want the pillows to match. So it's not going to be that much more considering I'm paying to have it quilted with dinosaurs to have the pillows done too. What I'm going to do, however, is I have this adorableness also from the same line that's going to be the backing for both the pillows and the quilt. And then I'm going to bind with that same, not pineapples, what are these called? Coconut tree, palm tree fabric, but in this teal and green colorway. So I think that'll be a really cute binding. Bring it all together. Let me see, actually, it should say somewhere on the selvage what this fabric line is, because it's adorable and I want to give credit where credit is due. So let's see. Stomp Stomp Roar by, oh, this printing's a little, Stacy Iesteshu. I'm so sorry. It's STACY IESTHSU. Can you see that? And this is designed by Moda, for Moda Fabrics. And it's super cute. So cute. Did I mention I think it's adorable? Only 100 times. Okay. So next, let me move this so I don't run into the table and make it jiggle about. What do we want to do next? Let's look at these. So this is my very first quilting project. It is not done. Shame on me. This is Keep It Simple Table Runner by Deborah Young. Deborah actually works at Quilt Patch Fabric, which is one of my local quilting stores. And I took the class with Deborah. It was a wonderful class. And I have finished the top. I love the top. I just need to quilt it. And this one I am going to quilt myself, but I just get distracted by other pretty things and don't get to it. So this is my very first quilt project. Not half bad. My where my corners join is not perfect, but for first time, it's pretty darn good. I was very pleased with it. It needs a really good ironing. But I'm hoping to get this actually quilted. I'm using that same teal that's on the border for my backing. And then I will use the beautiful Kaffe fabric for my binding. It is a mix of Kaffe fabrics. This teal, I might be able to tell you what it is if we get lucky again. It's a grunge. Let's see. Did we cut it off? It's Moda. It's grunge. Color 30150. It does not have a name, but it's a really beautiful. It's coming through very blue. It's much more of a tealy green in person. Yeah, it's got a little more teal, a little more green undertone than that shows. But it's just lovely. And I've been trying to, so I've had it stacked on my actual sewing table next to my machine to hopefully encourage me to get it done. Excuse me, I need a sip of coffee, hold on. Intermission. Okay, this next one is, well, I got all kinds of junk in here. This is called Scrap Petal Garden. It's by Cabin in the Woods Quilters. There you go. The shop sample was gorgeous. They used all the different cave florals for the petals and a nice neutral background. I, however, was going to scrap the scrapness out of this. And thought it would be perfect too for like some of the fabrics that I purchased as a beginner quilter that were found at weird places, like random places, like, I don't know, I have some from like Tuesday Morning. I didn't even know they sold fabric, but ones that are not heirloom quality fabric, but that I love and think are fun and want to use. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not. This is in multiple sheets of rose. So I can show you. So these are my rows of background because I'm scrapping the background. I'll try to show you some pieces. There's solids and there's patterns. Let me see if I can show you another one that's got most of them. Here's a couple more, some purples, some coffees. I'd love to get this backing sewn together. However, I made it so that it had a lot of points, which I didn't realize when I did this because I was newer. However, if you look at my Hot Mess Hobbies profile, I believe my little circle profile picture is what do you call it? I'm gonna just say a flower. It's just like a big flower of petals of fabric. It's all the petals for this project. And I do not believe I have started any of the flowers, but I'll try to show you these without them going everywhere. No promises. But these are just like all my scrap petals. I started just sticking them up on the design board, going willy-nilly. Deborah, who has a much better design eye than me and who is, I think, very intentional in her design, beautifully so, gave me the great advice that if you're gonna just kind of wing it with the fabric pattern and things, you're not using consistent line, maybe think about doing it in sort of light to dark so that it's in a slightly more intentional, oh, I do have some on here, okay, a slightly more intentional placement. I'll try to show you what I mean. And these are all on Steam-A-Seam Light. They also use Terrial Magic, but I didn't feel like I needed it with the Steam-A-Seam, and I just didn't want to mess with it. But see how it's kind of almost like rainbow, like it goes yellow, orange, pinks, and then reds, and then greens and blues, and so it swirls into darker colors in the center. And I really liked that advice. It came out looking pretty good, I think. It's not going to be to everyone's taste. I'm missing I've got one or two more to put down here, but it is meant to be just super scraptastic. And my whole goal was to just use up bits and pieces and make it scrappy as can be. And it may end up just being a throw it on the couch quilt for the kids to play on. It might be a picnic quilt. Somebody said you can use, depends on your quilt shop, but some will let you use like an oilcloth on the back as long as they know and their machine can handle it, so that it's got a little bit of a waterproof if you want to make it a picnic quilt, which I thought was cool. But I do know that's a lot thicker. And then, because, you know, subtle's my name, I walked by this in their clearance section and thought, yep, that's the backing for this chaotic quilt. And here it is. Look at that. It's stunning. So I figure if the front's hideous, I'll make this the front. But oh, it's so beautiful, and it's got all the colors. So it's going to match everything because it has everything. And this is, I can tell you what this is. This is Barrel Cacti by Calico, let me see, Calico Horses by Lori Turner. This is a Free Spirit fabric. This is one extremely stuffed quilt bag. So I used to keep my cross stitch and my knitting and all in these like handmade bags, and they were gorgeous, but they just didn't work for me. So I use a bigger version of what you've seen on my cross stitch videos, if you've watched them. For these, they're just, I think, the next size up. I want to say they're like 11 by 19 or something, but they will hold, I mean, there's a lot of fabric in there. They hold quite a hefty amount, and then I can put it, I have a big old basket over here you can't see that I put all my sewing and quilting projects in, although right now they're rebelling and falling out all over the place. Please hold for just a moment. I do have a few sewing projects kitted. I don't sew often or particularly well. I like the idea of myself as a seamstress more than I have the ability to be a seamstress. So these things happen. Okay. I don't know where this bag came from. Hopefully it was not holding something important. Let's go next to another, okay, so I lied. I just told you I never use those bags, but this one I had to have. This is one of the, not L'Oreal, what's it called? Tula Pink bags that she had, and I just love that it had the sewing machine on it. Clearly I like Tula Pink. We'll get to these in a minute. This is a mosaic class that I also took with Deborah over at Quilt Patch Fabrics, and I am absolutely nuts about it. And I very recently cut out my mosaic bunny. I'm using a template called Hip Hop by Lori Hine of Fiberworks. And so this is all kinds of itty bitty teeny tiny pieces of fabric that are all on Steam a Seam Light 2. And you make a collage in the shape of the thing. So my thing, which could use a good ironing, but I just got, it took 100 minutes. It took forever. But here's my bunny. That's her nose, that's her face, ears. She's a little floppy because I've cut her out. But you put it on this, basically this interfacing. Here's her feet, cute little feet, her little fluffy tail. And you just use all these beautiful fabrics and make a collage, and or mosaic, I think is what they call it. And then I have several kind of subtly patterned tans and creams for the background. I have not put the background together yet, but I've got this one and this one. Like maps and newspaper on it. And this one that just has gray dots that you may or may not be able to see. I think that's it. So I'm gonna just kind of irregularly sew them together, lightest to darkest, and then make them into a square, and I'll put the bunny on there. And then I have a bunch of other things on that Steam a Seam, like flowers and leaves and butterflies and bumblebees and dragonflies and things from just all kinds of different fabrics that I had that I'm going to put all over it. So this will be a fun one to get done at some point. I'm not in a hurry, but I do think it's a lot of fun. If you are very artistic or you have a lot of scraps, that mosaic quilting is it's a good time. You have to use a lot of Steam a Seam. But it's fun. It's like, once you get the Steam a Seam on there, you're just like painting with fabric stickers. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the best way I could describe it. Okay, coffee break. Thing next. Kind of move them in a way that will shake the table the least. This one I can barely call a WIP. I haven't put a single seam in yet, but at the Ponderosa Stitch Retreat, they had this book. She has a humongous wall of books. I managed to only buy 3 books that she had. This is Simply Charming by Tara Lynn Dar. I believe she has a couple additional volumes, but this one I wanted to make I just realized that this is the wrong fabric in here for this. Well, I want to make this, and I was able to cut out all the shapes using the AccuQuilter while we were there. But I don't have them in the right bag, so I can't show you because this is the wrong fabric. Because while we were there, I also picked up a batik charm pack, and I'm gonna make hunter stars. I don't have a pattern. I just saw the cutout for the hunter stars, so I need to figure out, I'm gonna just make a bunch of stars in these beautiful batiks and then figure out how to make it the size of a quilt. I'm just gonna wing it. And that is the Chroma Batiks for Moda Fabrics, in case you're wondering what that collection was. It's the colorway, 4366 LC Chroma Batiks. So that'll be for Hunter Star. Hopefully we find my nice little, I call them tumblers, but somebody told me that's a different kind of block. I'm not particularly well versed in the block names, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely. Sorry, I got an avalanche. One sec. Okay, avalanche averted. These are some shapes I'm going to just show you that I'm going to use for my bunny that I just showed you, that I cut while I had access to that AccuCutter. These I have not put on. I ran out of Steam-A-Seam, so these don't have it on them to stiffen them up. So it'll be a little finicky because I'll have to Steam-A-Seam them and then try to like cut around them because I do need some kind of stabilizer. But I will put these all around my bunny when I get there at some point. I need to put this in the bag with the bunny. I'm gonna set it over here so I remember to do that. All right, the next one, also a class. I think I have few, if any, that are not part of a class. And all my classes that I've taken thus far have been at Quilt Patch because that's the closest one to me and the first one I found. And they taught me to quilt, so I just am very attached. And they're just lovely, wonderful people. So this is, let me get my notes out of here, The Giving Tree. And it is in Mini Wonderful Curves by Jenny Pedigo and Helen Robinson for So Kind of Wonderful. And it's 16 projects using the Quick Curve Mini Ruler. I unfortunately had some major issues with my machine. I had an old Singer of my mom's, and it had been giving me problems for a really long time. The tension was all over the place, and I think that's part of the reason a lot of these I did the class and never touched it again. I did end up getting another Singer, but I eventually just replaced it. I got the Singer Quantum Stylus 90-something. Someday I would love to have both the income and the space and the time to use a higher end machine, but right now something like a Bernina or things like that, much though I pine for them, just don't make sense. So this was a really good quality for the price for me, for my price range, without investing more heavily in something. Because feeding those kids is no joke. I'm terrified for when they're teenagers. I've never seen two little boys eat so much in my life. Anyway, so I have very little done on this. And what I did have done, I had to pull out because it was messed up. But somewhere in here, so this I can show you is my background fabric. You may or may not be able to see, it has basically like watermarked, you can kind of see snowflakes on it, nice and subtle. They're a little easier to see in person, but that's pretty close. So that's gonna be my background. Then I have a bunch of Well, my pieces were all sorted on plates, but now they're kind of all over. I'll try to just show you a mix, a smattering of random greens. I just went through like their green scraps and my green scraps. So these will be cut using the quick curve ruler, some already have been, and then sewn together to form my tree. And then I was able, the only thing I was able to get done in class, which is super wrinkled, I apologize, was my star. How pretty is that? And I don't know why, but that looks like a fish to me, but it's not a fish. They're pumpkins and like fallish winter things. Not a fish, but that totally looks like a fish head with an eyeball to me. You can tell me if I'm crazy. So this one shouldn't be hard to finish. It shouldn't take a terribly long time. I mean, if I had the ability to focus on it for a weekend, I'm sure I could knock it out, but yeah, maybe I'll try to get that one done for this year for Christmas. Even if I don't get it quilted, even if I just get the top done. Whoops, I forgot the pattern. We don't want to separate that. Then I would be in a pickle, because that is not one I could just wear. I will say that quick curve ruler is pretty magical. I did not get it at all at first when I bought it. Taking the class was 100% worth it just to learn how to use the ruler. There are some really good resources on YouTube, as many of us know. So what do I want to show you next? What is this? Oh, this is another class. I think everything I have left to show you until we get to that board is a class. This is a pattern called Brightly. Let's see if I can find it in this hodgepodge. It's a layer cake or fat quarter quilt by Cluck Cluck Sews. Really like the pattern. I think the directions are very clear. This is the only pattern I've done by this designer, but I definitely see myself doing more. I will say, you probably know this if you've seen my other videos, but I tend to be more bright colors, bold patterns, and if it comes in animal print, I'm in. I tried to go out of my normal comfort zone because as much as I love those things and I have leopard on my glasses and my hair tie and stuff, I don't have a leopard print house because I have a husband and I love him. Otherwise, that couldn't be untrue. But I'm trying to find things that are more usable and maybe more appealing to a general palette. So I am using, I've got 4,000 sandwich bags in here. But do I have the one that tells me my fabric? I used a fat quarter bundle. Let me see, one of these must tell me the fabric line. QT Fabrics. And of course the design name is cut off. I'll find one of them, and if not, I'll put it in the description. I'll figure it out. Oh, maybe. Dan Morris Design 2022 for QT Fabrics. That's all it says. And I used a fat quarter bundle. Here's a little sneaky peeky of some of the fabric. So here's one. It's really kind of these orangey golds, some rich blues, some tans. And I will say this, it is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's just some of it. It's beautiful. No doubt in my mind, it's beautiful. And I made 1 or 2 blocks. Part of a block, most of a block. Let's see what I got. It's like a surprise to me too. I made 2 blocks, one of each. So there's 2 kind of primary blocks that make up the whole pattern. And this is 1. This is 2. It's gorgeous. It is not me at all. So I kind of stumbled a little and lost steam because the finished product is pretty, but it's not something that I go, oh, and I want that feeling when I look at the quilts in my house. Are they all going to be magical? Absolutely not. But I was talking with my husband, and he had a very good idea of someone I could gift this to, who I think this is much more in keeping with her aesthetic. And so I'm feeling a little bit revived, and we just had this conversation a few days ago. So I'm feeling a little bit revived, and I feel like I will at some point finish this and gift it. I'm not going to say to who, and if I do get working on it, I may not show updates because at that point I will be gifting it. But I will also say I really enjoy the pattern. And like I said, it was very easy for a novice, truly novice quilter to interpret and read. I will definitely do the pattern again with Lord knows how loud a fabric. I don't know. I also think it would be a really beautiful pattern for something like a Christmas or a fall or a Halloween type of feel. Just because of the way the pattern works, I think that would be really cute. And now that I have little kids, it's fun to make those cutesy fabrics and things that I otherwise wouldn't really use. But, you know, my kids want ghosts and little pumpkins and candy corn and things. And so my focus on a lot of my quilts is my kids and the joy it will bring my family to have it out on the couch. I want to use them. These are not going to be featured in anybody's museum at any point in time. This next one is, oh, I kept the bands. Okay. This is a stripology quilt. This is another really neat tool that I'm glad I bought, and I'm extra glad I took the class. Because I bought it and I watched a YouTube video and I went, what? You do what with it? Because it has so many ways it can function, it was overwhelming to me as a new quilter. As a more experienced quilter, you probably are like, this is super easy. I will say, I bought the extra large one for a couple reasons. One, I had a 20% off coupon. And two, I thought, well, if I buy the biggest one, then I can do any size. I did eventually invest in the I think it's the medium one. I think she has a small, medium, large, and extra large. Because the extra large was a pain in the neck to take to classes. It can be a pain to use because it is so big. I do feel like I have to be a lot more careful with it so I don't break it, because it's got some flop to it, if you're familiar with it, because there's holes cut in the ruler. I'm not explaining this well, but if you ever decide to try a stripology ruler, I would strongly recommend either the medium or the large size. They are not inexpensive, they're an investment. The extra large is just really kind of unwieldy. So unless you know you need those really large, long strips, try the large. I mean, it's a really manageable size. The extra large is just a lot. But all that to say, I took a class for Katarina. I'm just trying to figure out what page it's on. And it's fun because all of these all use that same stripology. So this is, I said Katarina, it's Katrina, I'm sorry, the Katrina quilt. And this is quilted by GE Design. Yeah, GE Designs of Iceland is who the book is by, and it was written by Gudrun Erla. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Gudrunerla. Really lovely patterns. It was definitely worth the investment. And then I'm using a layer cake, 10-inch Fabric Wonders Art Gallery fabrics, and I'm using the Flight Path collection by Jessica Swift. And I'm doing this as a baby quilt for somebody who I would be shocked if they ever watch this video. And I'm also going to give it to them for their kids' like first birthday. So one, because I'm super far behind, and two, because you're you're not supposed to even give babies quilts until they're like 1.5, one-ish. I was always very freaked out about that. So here's some of the fabric collection. I don't have a ton of blocks made, but just these fun yellows and the birds and the red oranges and some whites and these beautiful florals and these greens. I mean, look at this one. How cute is that? So I will not use the whole layer cake for sure. I think I used 2/3 of it, but there's essentially 2 blocks that you make. Sorry, layer cake's trying to escape on me. And you can kind of see it here on the back. So there's 2 different triangles. There's the bigger one and the smaller one. And I have 1 of each. No, I don't. I have 2 of each. 2 of each made. Sorry about the wrinkles. But basically, the way you cut it, you get 1 this way and 1 this way. So you don't waste any fabric. You can use the whole thing. And the way you cut it with the stripology ruler gets you basically 2 blocks. And then I have, this is the little bit smaller center. Sorry, I should really go that way. So I really enjoy that. I like the bright colors. I just like that it's fun. It's not huge. It's for a kid. I'm trying to finish up some, but I get tempted by this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this one gets attention very soon because it's more manageable and because it's bright. So, all right, we're getting there. Just a couple more to go. I'm gonna jump to, so this behind me is a table runner. It's about twice that length. These are a whole bunch of blocks that I made randomly, just playing around. I was just playing one day. You ever just play? I didn't have a pattern. I just wanted to, 4th of July was coming up. Obviously I didn't finish them. And I thought, oh, I need a table runner and I don't have like the table topper, and that would be so nice. So I have this Primitive Gatherings American Gathering layer cake by Moda. Wonderful collection. And I have done, sorry, it's wrapped up in the backing. I've done the, I'm going to call it the table topper. And I just played. Like, I just had fun. I just played with it. It really goes the other way, but I'm going to hold it like this so you can see it all. So I just playing. And I think it came out gorgeous, and I'm very happy with it. And then I found in my stash this fabric. How perfect is this? That I'll use as the backing. And I love that I'm using stuff up. So that is ready to be quilted at some point and is sitting in the pile of shame by my sewing machine. And then this one back here, I might disconnect you in a few minutes from the stand, and if I can do it without making you all dizzy, I will try to show you more of that. But you can see I just had a bunch of layers that I sewed together. I was gonna cut them into more of these half square triangles, but then I thought, you know, I just want like one big long table runner. And I really put it, I have a jelly cabinet, so it's fairly narrow, and that's what I put my table runners on for the season. So I didn't want a really thick border, but I do want some kind of border. What I discovered is that as much fabric as I have, which is a lot, I could not find anything that would match that I liked. So then I was playing with all these just random squares I put together and triangles. And so that's what's kind of up there, pinned up in shame, because I can't find a way to be happy with it yet. I will, but not yet. Okay, next one I have, I don't even remember this one. That's not good. Oh yes, I do. This was a fun one. This is where I learned about Y seams. So I always try, if I'm taking a class, I want it to be, one, it's the only way I get time to quilt, because if I'm in my house, my husband is super wonderful and supportive, but we have kids and they're little and they're squirrely, and they, all of a sudden, it's like they vanish and they're gone. So having a 2- and a 4-year-old help me quilt is, and with the needles and the pins, I really don't like them. I love to do things together. I love bringing my son to the quilt shop. He is now forbidden because the 2 times we went, we came home with $300 worth of fabric that he had to have. Wasn't even my doing. He said he had to have it. So who am I to protest? So Daddy was like, what the heck, kid? But we have a great time looking at fabric. We have a great time looking at the quilts. I bring him in here. We look at the different quilts. He helps me sometimes design and put blocks together. But when I'm doing things with the needles and the pins and all that, and the rotary cutters, heaven forbid, they terrify me, I don't want him anywhere near it. And my 4-year-old is pretty responsible. He's a good boy. My 2-year-old is like, so you say I shouldn't lick my finger and stick it in the electric socket? Let me just try it and see. So, and I love them both equally, but they keep us on our toes. Anyway, so this is the Eclectica Set Spinning by Pine Tree Country Quilts. A little bit of a tongue twister there. But this was so much fun, and I love, love, love the fabric line I used, which is another Moda layer cake. So wonderful. Is there a designer? This might just be a straight Moda, from what I can tell. And it is all this cute little, I'm going to try to get this layer cake out of here, but it's kind of jammed in. There we go. These super cute, like pastel and just fun. It's got all the sewing stuff. It's just adorable. Very different from the cover picture that was very dark and dramatic of the pattern. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I found, I just want to like wrap myself in this. I love this color. It's a grunge, and you can kind of see the modeling. It has little bits of like orangey yellow and this rich, just a touch of these rich raspberry colors. Oh, it's just delicious. It's like sherbet in fabric. Let me see if I can tell you the color. It is grunge, Moda fabric, 100% cotton. Yep. 30150. I feel like I told you that number for something else. Hopefully those numbers mean something and I'm not just making them up. I think I got enough to do this as the backing as well, if I remember. But I've done, I think just 2. Oh no, there's a couple in here of these. Excuse me. And the Y seam I was a little afraid of until I did it, and then it really wasn't bad at all. Now, if I can remember how to do it, I'll be fine. But I do feel like during the class, I thought, you know what, this has great instructions in the pattern, so I think I'll be just fine. There's another one. And 3. Boy, these are wrinkled. It's embarrassing. And 4. I'm sorry, ironing was just not in the game plan. I am sweating doing this. That's sad. I need to get to the gym if I'm sweating showing you quilts. It's a lot of fabric. It gets warm. Okay, let's see. Second to last one, because I got one up there to show you. This is possibly my favorite and least favorite quilt. It is my frenemy. It is all that I want and nothing that I need. This is Knitted Star by Lo and Behold Stitchery. It is inspired by Fair Isle Knitting. The pattern is gorgeous. The instructions are atrocious for me. Even the teacher had some challenges that she had like gone through and written out when she did her sample. If you were a very experienced quilter, you'd be fine. If you are a new quilter, unless you have someone who is experienced helping you with this, the instructions are going to confuse you and you're going to do it wrong and it will be a mess. I say that as the person who could not understand the instructions and almost did it wrong and almost made a huge mess. But I fortunately have some amazing quilters who helped me, and I was doing it in a class where I had a teacher holding my hand. That said, black and white, boring. I looked at this and I went, whoo, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing animal print. And I have, this is a great way to show you because I have 4 key animal prints. And they're all from the same fabric line. But I have a giraffe, a tiger, a zebra, and a cheetah. And so I will have two whirligigs of each. However, I made a rookie mistake. This was the first time I ever pre-cut all my nonsense before the class, and I spent 2 weeks cutting fabric. It has so many pieces of so many sizes. What I didn't know, newbie mistake, was that when you iron or press, don't iron. When you press, do not use steam. I had not pre-washed these fabrics, and one of them shrunk quite a lot more than the other. So I started putting it together, and I had these huge gaps in length, even though I cut them together using the same ruler, same tool, and you can see it pretty easily in some of these places, especially along the edge. I'll show you here in just a minute. I'm trying to find a good example. But even like the middle square, I tried to make it work and fudge it out. You can see it looks rectangular because it is instead of square. You can see along the edges where it's just a lot of different lengths. I was trying to massage it into fitting. It just did not work. So what I found is that, and I had barely enough fabric. I did go back. I was able to find more of this, but I don't think I need it. I think I will pull this out, even though it will make me cry a little. I do think I'll pull it out. But I kept looking at it. And everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, you know when there's something and you can't put your finger on it for a while, but you're just like, something's not right here. One day I looked at it and I said, I hate the background. Like, I really hate it. It's this boring, bland gray, and I need something understated because I have these wild animal prints, but man, do I hate it. Like, and I couldn't figure it out for months, but I had it up on my board and looked at it every day, and I just went, why don't I like you? And so what I decided was I needed something with just enough interest, but that would not compete with any of these fabrics. We're getting a theme going here. And I went in and I took the whole crew. I had all my ladies with me. I had 4 or 5 ladies from the quilt shop helping me. I don't know what the number is, but we found this mottled black grunge. And it's going to be just enough interest. I will have to recut strips until the end of my days. But it will be just enough interest. Sorry, it's got schmutz on it. Lint, like you get. That I think it's going to make the background just a little bit more interesting without it being overpowering. I think the animal prints are going to look phenomenal on there. Where'd my little baggie go? I think they're going to look really great on there. I think all 4 of them will look great with this. And I was a little worried about using a black background, but I haven't decided if I'm going to pre-wash it or not. Part of me says pre-wash it because it's black and because I had issues with things shrinking before and I don't want to go down that road again. But part of me is going, well, it's not as softened up because it hasn't been washed. I don't usually pre-wash, more because I'm too excited to start. I don't have time for washing. So I'm very excited to restart this, but I'm also sort of dreading it because I got through all the cutting and now I'm like, well, do I wash it? Then I got to recut it, and then I got to, so what I'm going to try to do is, originally I was going to try to cut just for 1 block, but because of how confusing the instructions are and the way that they're written, it would be really hard to figure out what I needed for just the 1 block. So I am going to cut the whole thing because I really want to do this pattern, and I'm just going to go with it. But I would love, please leave a comment and let me know. I'm not a very experienced knitter. Should I be washing this first or should I not? I know pre-wash or to not pre-wash is a big sticking point for a lot of people. Everybody has different feelings about it. But let me know specifically for this one, with it being black, whether or not you think pre-washing this grunge would be a good idea. I would really appreciate the advice. So that was my second to last one. Now, I am going to attempt to show you this one that's up here. Well, maybe I should just take it down. I don't want to shake things everywhere. I was going to take you to the board, but I might just bring things from the board to you. So this is Chopsticks. It is by Jaybird Quilts. Great pattern, lots of fun. We used a special triangle ruler, and I cannot remember where it is or what it was called. If I figure it out, I'll put it in the description. However, I have made, you make 30-something triangles of, there's 2 different sizes, but you make 36 of each. I have, pardon me stepping out of frame, I have one of, I think this is called block, I think this is triangle B, where it has a thinner border. So I have one of these and a bajillion cut out. You can kind of see those here. These are all cut out to be, and I have a mix of mostly Tula Pink. What was the wild animal collection? She's got, I mean, they all have animals, but I've got some of the birds and the hippos, but then I have some other ones that went that are not Tula. Just like all the bright tropical stuff I could find, I got. And then I have quite a few made up of the triangle with the thicker border. Sorry, I'm going to try to show you this. I have this one, and these go this way in the pattern. The other one goes, so this one, sorry, this is hard to do. This one, the point goes down. This one, the point goes up, like this. There's 1, 2, 3, and this is a Tula Pink Hexi pack, I think they're called. And so I use that for a lot of this size, and then I have a whole bunch of Bella Solids that I'm gonna, whoops, sorry, see I keep putting it the wrong way, that I'm gonna use for the border on the thinner ones. How cute are they? And I really love this. This is very much just bright and happy and fun and cheerful and animals and all the things I love. Oops. Sorry, they're all stuck together. And this one. And whoop, upside down hippo. Sounds like a yoga pose, doesn't it? Doing the upside down hippo. Whoops, on the floor. That's not what we want. We don't want on the floor. How cute are these birds? And then I have another stack of them that I may not flip through. Well, we can do a flip through quick one. They're fun. They're fun. More zebras. Little pink zebra buns. Giraffe. Love the giraffe. I did try to fussy cut the animals, and with Tula Pink's fabric, it was tricky because I was trying not to waste fabric, but I also was trying to fussy cut, and some of hers, the animals are either too close together or too far apart for this specific shape, which is not a Tula thing. That's a me thing in the pattern. So I did feel like I was wasting a lot of fabric, but I tried to use things like this in the border. So, you know, at least you get a bird and a face, but you don't get a lot. But we're not wasting as much because I like to use everything I can. Those hippos are just so freaking cute. Love them. So yeah, I think that was my last WIP. I do have this table runner, like I said. This is at American Gatherings. You can see here I have a bunch of half triangles. I don't know what you call it, where you make a half square triangle and then I cut it in half. I don't know. Like I said, I was playing, so I have some of these. I'm trying to figure out, I cut a bunch of large triangles. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna, I thought about sewing some more of these triangles and then cutting them into, maybe like cut each one into 4 or 5 strips and using those strips along the edge. Kind of almost, well, as a border, but so that it would all match. Let me know what you think. I'm open to all opinions, but that is my current WIP list for quilting. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a little fuzzier, I think, than when I film on my iPhone. But I'm just trying to get this out there, and I'm really excited to hear from other quilters and to get advice. I have like I said, a small group of 4 ladies who I adore, who I try to get together with once a week to do a little bit of quilting and have a little bit of me time. Usually happens about once a month that I can make it, but I am trying to kind of get through some of this. But yeah, let me know if there are patterns you think are great for beginners. I've got shopping for fabric down pat. No problem there. My stash is, yeah, we're not going to get into stash confessions. I don't know you that well yet, but someday we'll get there. But yeah, I've just really enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoyed looking at my quilts. And come back another time and feel free to subscribe. I will try to put some updates in. I do more regular updates for cross stitches, I think I mentioned, and then here and there I have knitting and quilting. I do hope to get more regular quilting done so that I'll have more updates, but I'll try to make a playlist and I'll probably make them separate videos. So if you're like, cross stitch and knitting are not my thing, no problem. If you're interested in subscribing, you'll be able to see, I'll try to put like quilting in the, or quilt video or something like that in the title, and I'll make a playlist. Assuming I can figure out how to do that. I am not exactly YouTube savvy, but assuming I can figure out how to make a playlist, I will make one for you. I'll also try at some point to get the description populated. It might be, like I said, a little bit after I upload it, but I'll try to find the couple patterns I was missing and put the pattern name and who it's by and things like that. So thanks for stopping by. Happy quilting.